Alright, we begin today's story in a place called Fondaway Canyon. So we're sitting in front of a spring that feeds a small pond. Usually not much water in it this time of year, but with some snowfall and some watershed activity above, it will become and usually always is, a great water source for wild animals, bighorn sheep, wild horses, antelope, deer. It's all up here. So come along for the ride. We're going to explore. So Fondaway Canyon has registered roughly 256 mining claims. So not all the mines are named, nor can I find much history on the operations of them. But there are a number of holes, and which may or may not can be explored. So this is a long, deep stope. And not much holding this together. So as a disclaimer, I am going to tell all of you out there in the YouTube audience that this is not safe. If you climb down in one of these and you get a cave in or you get lost, nobody is coming to get you. I have been in search and rescue for a long time, and search and rescue will not risk a life to save a life at the bottom of a mine or recover a dead body. So when you die down there, that's your tomb forever, unless you can find somebody willing to, I should say your family should find somebody that's willing to come get you. So there's a look down there, but we're not doing that one. So here is our second hole of the day. Little bit better rock strata, but if I was to go through barring this down to make it safe, it would not pass. So same disclaimer applies. Stay out and stay alive. Let's see what this one looks like. So I'd have found a stope or an incline shaft. Doesn't look like it's really had any rigging on it. There's a platform there in pretty bad shape. So we'll see if we can, you can see the bottom. Can't tell if it goes anywhere, but, and it's in a very precarious spot. You walk right into it when you come into this opening. So we'll get another look at this opening. Well, Ida's hobbled her way to the top of the pile and says it just stops. So I can see a stope back there. And it's either caved or is just a stope. Looks like most of the work was going on down there, and we're not doing that. Another look at the native rock. Looking up the draw. All the fractured, and this is vertically fractured, so the vein's going down. We've gained quite a bit of elevation. You're looking out on the Carson Sink, and way out in the distance is Lone Rock, which is part of the Bravo 20 bombing range. But in wet Nevada years, that would be filled with water. Looking for another miracle. We'll see when that happens. Well, we found another one. Rock's pretty good here. A little fractured along the sides, but it gets into hard rock pretty quick, so we're going to try this one. We'll see you inside. Alright, so we've come down the slope. Let me get my flashlight set on a wide beam so I'm not blowing out the camera. It would help if I turned it on. So, a little ground fall in here, and then it goes down. So, don't touch these rocks. If you can get it, all get away with it. You know what? I'll get down there and then I'll get back with you. Okay, well, there's where we just came in, and looking around, let me drop the intensity on this a couple of notches. There is a quartz vein in here, pretty fractured. The whole place is pretty fractured. I thought the opening looked really good, but this is bad. But that is a wide seam right there. I'm seeing some galena and fractured quartz. There is an opening back there, but I have no idea how much farther back it goes. So I'm going to take a walk up there, and we'll be back with you in a minute. Okay, so we've made it up to the hole, and I stuck my head in there, and it just faces out. So this wasn't a deep one, but there's a tremendous amount of ground fall in here. This whole ceiling could come down any time, and we're into that caliche dirt that's helping to hold this thing up. Look at that rock. That thing just wants to take your head off and bury you under the rest of it. So that's it for this one. We'll see you back outside. Well, we've come a little ways up the valley. Scoped an area up out that way. Saw a tailings pile, but the adit's caved in. And I had a pretty good struggle getting turned around. There's an adit right up there. And the tailings don't look very big. Wife's got a cold. My back's out of place. That's our excuse for not scrambling up that thing today. Looks like it's got a big rock in front of it from here. So anyway, onward and upward. This is not a paid endorsement because we're not sponsored by these people, but these Nature Valley protein bars, the salted caramel nut bars, good for you, good for diabetics. They're healthy. And you need an energy boost, it helps. But anyway, they're not paying me to say that. These things are pretty good. Alright, well, we're into the time of the day that these steep canyons lose their sunlight. But we come across this little jewel. Last time I was out here, this thing was standing upright. So somebody either tipped it over, or some east wind, which we never get, blew it over, because it was sitting right here upright. But anyway, all of the sampling that was on the bottom of it is now on the side of it, and I don't see a reason to go in there and look around, but it is interesting. A lot of this fractured rock, this shale stuff, and I do not like that. Some people call it serpentine. I just tend to call it shale. It's a pretty rock, but man, it fractures so easy. This is a fracture. That wasn't cut, that was actually fractured. So it just slides off. Here's another piece. See how it just slides off? Yeah. You go in adits like this, and these are widowmakers. Of course, you heard my disclaimer earlier. Nobody's going to come get you. So we'll get back up to the quad, and we'll do a little bit more of this area. All right. So I'm going to take a moment and do a big shout out to Mike and Patrick, who I met today. They're with Getchell Mining out of Canada, and they've been doing core sampling up here. They do have the claim. This was largely the Fisk claim, so I'm not in a good point to show you. There used to be an adit over there, and it has been excavated out, not by Getchell, by somebody else. So at one point it was reported that through just an amateur operation, 258 ounces of gold was taken out, but that may not be the total story. This is what I believe was the remains of the mill and the leaching operation. So concrete below us, sloping off down here, a lot of that serpentine largely around here. You can see another break in the piece right there with a fracture going through it. I'll get you a little better close up of that. This stuff is not great to walk on either, so pardon any shakes in the video. We are using a different camera today. I hope it will get us the results that I wanted for the shakiness. So this would have been a leach drum. There's a few little remnants possibly left of it, but they would have come in and gobbed up the wall and then sealed it. Probably in this day and age, I don't see any remnants of wood, and this is a concrete floor, so they probably sealed the sides with something, and then they would put their ore in here, and it would actually be spun with cyanide dripping down on the spinner as it went around, and then the leaching fluid would go out the bottom and be recovered down there. I'm going to look at this to see if it's Yeah, this is a caliche material of rock and dirt. So Getchell safety fenced it so nobody will drive off in there, but yeah, the strata changes quite a bit in here. So this is a round leaching operation. If you look for round pit leaching operations, you probably will find that. And if I can find a picture, I'll post a picture of what they look like. So, all right, we're going to climb up out of here. Be back with you shortly. So we'll give you another view of the valley. We're about a mile up the valley. We're about to run out of the mining claims. And starting to cool off here in the shade. Cooling off drastically. So we'll pick it up at the next spot. as we get back to the truck and we get ready to call it a day, we are back at this lovely little spring-fed pond. There's a lot of wild horses out here. They'll come in here at night, and as I said earlier, along with antelope, some bighorn sheep, deer, coyotes, little critters. Probably one of the only watering holes for miles, so they know where this is at. Anyway, thanks for coming along with us. As I say in my other videos, it doesn't matter to me if you like it or subscribe to it or share it. We're just trying to catch a little of Nevada's history before it's all gone. So, thanks for watching.